Hi everyone. I'm a bit of a dichotomy. I'm sort of an old fuddy-duddy in some ways. I like pen and paper, and at the other end of the scale, I really like high technology. Hence why I founded a drone company. This is Ninox Robotics in a nutshell. We are a managed drone service provider, so we deploy a team of ex-Australian Defence Force drone pilots to go out anywhere in rural and regional Australia and service a bunch of industries. How did I come up with the idea? Well, in a nutshell, back in the beginning of 2014, I was reading a couple of books. One was Wired for War by P.W. Singer, which was about the rise of robotics in warfare, particularly after the Iraq and Afghanistan debacles. And the other one was a book by Collapse by a bloke called Jared Diamond, who writes about the rise and fall of civilizations. One of the chapters in Collapse was Australia, which caught my eye because I'm Australian, I don't want it to collapse. And in a nutshell, one of the things he was talking about was when European civilization decided to land on this particular continent, we introduced all these pigs, dogs, feral animals that really shouldn't be in our particular biosphere. And we've been struggling, including CSIRO, for the last 100 years in trying to deal with this problem. And I thought all the strengths that Wired for War was talking about could be utilised in Collapse, and I started this particular project. That's our system. I grabbed a mechatronics engineer out of Sydney University's robotics school, and basically we then started pursuing whether this could actually work. So in Australia, it's important to realise that there are two broad areas where drones can be applied. One is metro. I'm not touching that. I'm leaving it to Amazon and all the others to dream. The other is rural and regional. And this is where it's really important to get a quality system, one that has really long range, really high levels of flight time, multi-purpose, and can carry a bunch of different systems. So we started searching the globe for the right system. We found this particular kit. This is an Israeli piece of military technology. Ninox is the first civilian company to get military-grade approval for systems outside of the defence sector. Why is this system good? In a nutshell, we can cover huge amounts of ground in really quick amounts of time with lots of range, and we have the ability to deploy anywhere in Australia without needing aeronautical infrastructure. Important because a lot of the clients and markets that we do service have very long ranges, very long requirements, huge areas in rural and remote locations. So in 2015, we conducted the most ambitious civilian drone trial in Australian history with beyond visual line of sight, above the 400-foot altitude ceiling, and night flights. This was exceptionally successful. We spotted all sorts of things in thermal and infrared in the biosecurity space. We then moved on rapidly to realise that we could stretch this out across multiple industry verticals, linear infrastructure, mining and analytics, emergency services, fire mapping and conservation. So the system itself has the ability to apply across all these fields, but we needed to get past CASA. Now, I'm probably going to send everyone to tears here. That's the Civil Aviation Safety Authority. Drones are at the cutting edge. This sort of stuff allows us to go many, many, many kilometres away from where the pilot is sitting. The problem with that is that it's beyond visual line of sight and drones don't know where they're going. So we needed to spend 2 years building up the resources and the reputation with CASA to allow us to undertake multiple flights in quick succession over big ranges. And we were able to do that starting in July this year when we achieved our first commercial undertakings with a number of ASX 200 clients and a number of government agencies in local government and in state government departments involved in the biosecurity space. So that's the Ninox story. In a nutshell, we are basically at the cutting edge of civilian drone technology with our ability to cover huge distances over vast terrain in rural locations. Here's an example of us utilising an analytic company's capabilities to be able to judge stockpile analysis and quantities on a major open cut mine. We can feed this data in with the majority of our camera systems, particularly the photogrammetric payload, and we also have the ability at the flick of a wrist to change camera payloads over to different utilities, whether it be for biosecurity or for linear infrastructure monitoring. And this is how our system lands with a parachute. Which is pretty handy because we don't need a runway, which is particularly useful in Australia where there's not many runways in the areas we operate. And I think that's a good way to go on out. Thank you.